Hi everybody, welcome to my review of Jocko Willink's new book, Leadership Strategy and Tactics Field Manual. Now, you may well be thinking, wait a minute, this is a gaming channel, Rob. This is a gaming channel. It is, but I do videos on other things in this gaming channel, as you'll know if you've seen my various food and drink videos, and I do the occasional book review as well. And in my job, where I'm a manager, I think it's really important to read personal development books whenever you can, just to make you think about how you do things and whether you could do things differently, how you could get better, that sort of stuff. And Jocko Willink's pretty famous, I would have thought, in certain circles. He's an ex-Navy SEAL from the American military, and he's a best-selling author. Got his own podcast, and he has his own management consultancy business called Echelon Front, and he's well known for his previous books, Extreme Ownership, which was very popular indeed, and The Dichotomy of Leadership. And then he also did the Discipline Equals Freedom Field Manual, and he's done various books for kids as well. And so his latest book is just him. His previous ones, Extreme Ownership and Dichotomy of Leadership, he wrote with Leif Babin, one of his SEAL colleagues in the military. So what have we got here? So what we've got here is an excellent field manual, like it says on the tin. An excellent reference manual for anybody who is, well, almost in any organisation as well, because it doesn't just deal with leadership, it deals with being led as well, because in most situations you're not just the leader, are you? There's you, and you've got the people who work for you, you've got the people who work with you, your peers, and then you have the people above you, and it looks at things from all those different points of view, how you can be a better leader, how you can be a better follower, how you can be a better peer, and it's all solid advice. Really good, solid advice. There probably isn't that much that's new in these books, compared to other management books as well. But so he's standing on the shoulders of giants kind of thing, and it's all based on practical learnings and implementations, not only in the Navy SEALs but in real businesses too. And the difference really between this book and Extreme Ownership and Dichotomy of Leadership is the fact that I think this really is, it's a reference book for management and being a leader and being a follower, as I say. So there's a lot more information in here and a lot more tactics and strategies to use than in Extreme Ownership and or the Dichotomy of Leadership, but it's in a more of a reference manner, which I think makes it less of a fun read or a fun listen. I actually got the audiobook version. It doesn't mean you shouldn't get it. I think it's a really good book to get, and you'll read it and you go, oh yeah, I've been in that situation, or I faced that situation, oh yeah, I was involved in that sort of thing, and it's all really good. The downside, if you like, is that although it's really good, it's just Jocko's point of view kind of all the time, all the way through it, which is good. He knows what he's talking about. It's excellent at what he does. But the thing that, for me, made Extreme Ownership and the Dichotomy of Leadership really stand out as management books was part of the way that they were written. And the way that those books were written was you would have like a story to start off with about, combat in Iraq or Afghanistan, or while they were training to be Navy SEALs and do all this sort of stuff, training to get better. And then you would have something that they had to learn about, that they learnt from this situation, this combat situation or this problem they had, kind of the principle. And then you had how they would implement that at a real company as well, as part of Echelon Front. So it was really cool. So you often had these interesting war stories, and then you had, well, this was the principle we learnt, and then you had, well, this is how we use this in a business. And the other cool thing was, it wasn't just Jocko talking or writing all the time. It was Jocko, then Leif, So you had the different voices, and the different ways of talking and the different ways of communicating between the two. And I thought, especially Extreme Ownership, was very, very powerful indeed in the way that it worked. And the Dichotomy Leadership was really Extreme Ownership Part 2. So it took a few ideas from Extreme Ownership and expanded on them. Whereas in Leadership, Strategy and Tactics, you've literally got Jocko just talking about these things. And he does use real life examples, as far as he can in the book. But I think you've got to listen to it either in smaller chunks or perhaps refer to it when you want to talk, deal with certain situations that you might get at. I really felt that Extreme Ownership you could just listen to as a read. It didn't really matter if you were reading or listening to it as part of like a personal development thing. It was just an interesting book to listen to. I really felt that. Where with this one, it kind of gets a bit heavy because it's getting into the weeds on lots of these subjects. Excellent advice, don't get me wrong, really excellent advice, but not as fun to listen to or read as Extreme Ownership. Now, I should add as well that if you don't know anything about Jocko Willink or the ideas of Extreme Ownership or anything like that, you maybe think, well, oh god, he's a Navy SEAL. It's all going to be super aggressive, isn't it? Extreme ownership, it's being extreme and shouting at people and, hut 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 and going for things and, being really powerful and strong. And no. None of what Jocko or Leaf in the book Thieves does with him talk about is anything to do with that. The most important thing that a leader has, according to Jocko, and I kind of believe in this as well, is humility, which may be very surprising. You might think, well, what do you mean humility? He's a Navy SEAL. Surely he's brusque and arrogant and confident. No, he teaches you to be the exact opposite of that. To realise that you succeed because of your team. And the idea of extreme ownership isn't to be extreme and aggressive and stuff. It's just to realise that as a leader or as someone who's led, if you can get hold of the concept that, hey, you're responsible for everything that you kind of come into contact with, that can really help the way that you deal with lots and lots of different situations. And you might think, well, how can I be responsible for all this stuff? Just listen to the books or read the books and you'll kind of see what he's talking about. It's very, very good indeed for doing it that way. So, I would say that Leadership, Strategy and Tactics, the Field Manual from Jocko, is an excellent read, an excellent book to read after Extreme Ownership and the dichotomy of leadership. But it's a little bit heavier, and as I say, it's not as fun to read or to listen to. And I would say, if you haven't read Extreme Ownership or Dichotomy of Leadership, start with Extreme Ownership, then go on to Dichotomy, and then get the Leadership, Strategies and Tactics Field Manual, because I think you'll enjoy it more, and because you'll understand the ideas behind a lot of what Jocko is talking about, you'll take it on board that way. So, there we go. Really enjoyed it. Not as fun as the previous books, but probably a lot more information in the Leadership, Strategy and Tactics Field Manual than in the other books. Because again, it's more of a reference file. It's more of a reference book because it is a field manual. Rather, the other two, I think, they're more of a good read. Anyway, that's enough from me. Put your questions and comments down below. I'll just leave you with the rest of this Hardpoint gameplay from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. You may well say, well, Rob, why do you do these videos over the top of gameplay videos? Well, I think that if you want to get better at things, like Call of Duty, especially the more objective-based game modes like Hardpoint, you really need to be quite humble and admit the fact that you don't really know that much. And it's important to learn and to help your teammates, and in Hardpoint especially, take responsibility for the whole of the game and say, right, what can I do to control the game, to help my teammates, to control the spawn so that we capture the next Hardpoint and then get in a position to capture the next Hardpoint, and on and on and on. And anyway, I kind of kick ass in this gameplay, so I'm going to leave it with you. Anyway, so that's enough from me. Thank you very much for watching. Hit like if you've enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to see more of the same. Thank you very much, and I will see you again soon.
Hardpoint contested. Got the hardpoint. Go, get to the next one. Friendly care package inbound. Enemy care package inbound.